Right, so welcome to another Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 video, and today we're doing something slightly different. It was requested, so I thought we'd give it a go. Since I was struggling myself, I thought we'll give it a quick go and see how I can kind of help people. I just want to say that I'm in no way an expert or anything like that. I'm literally just going off whatever I've learned and what works for me, so if it works for you then I'm glad. If not, then please leave a comment down below to let us know what I've done wrong and what I should be doing, sort of thing. So first thing you want to enable on a takeoff is the flight director, which is going to get that guided crosshair on your UI so you can see which way you're meant to go. Then you want to make sure you've got auto throttle armed, speed brake armed, which is done by just lifting it up, your flaps set, takeoff lights on, all your landing lights on, and then you are pretty much ready to go. As long as you've got your flight plan toned in before you start your flight, the computer will know everything that needs to be done. So to get rolling here, you release the parking brake, get to about 40% power, and then push the throttle all the way forward into toga. So you'll see on here it says main toga, which is takeoff go round power. You want to keep the nose pushed forward a little bit just until 80 knots, and then you can slowly release the pressure. And then when you see the little purple icon come down your airspeed indicator, that is, and the little blue one next to it, that is your V1 speed, which is your +5, and that's when you start rotating. So then once you've got positive rate, you gear up, and then as you can see it's starting to get towards overspeeding, so you slightly bring the throttles back and then it'll lock itself into climb throttle. So the computer will take over auto throttle and that, which is why you armed the auto throttle. You can then store the speed brake, lift the flaps up, because then the computer's going to know that it needs to speed up them engines a little bit more. Because for some reason, if you engage autopilot straight away, it just nosedives and you can end up crashing for some reason. I don't think it's working exactly like it's meant to be working. So this is the best way to do it, I've found, is just to hand fly it out a little bit, get that speed going, and there you go, then you can engage the autopilot. Because otherwise it's going to nose down to try and gain speed. But you don't want it to nose down, because it just, as you've seen, if you've watched some of the other live streams and things, you've seen how badly the takeoff's gone just by engaging the autopilot straight away. Right, so that's pretty much it for a takeoff. But what I would suggest, and as you can see, our vertical speed is going absolutely crazy, which again I think is just another quirk of the sim at the minute. So if you have got quite a lot of cloud covering like this, and you are going to be going through that precipitation, it is probably best to just engage the wing and engine de-icing, just because it does seem to get icy pretty quickly on this plane. So as you can see there, our initial has changed to 12,000. So what you do to change your altitude is you just change the numbers and then press the down arrow, which will initiate that altitude to be selected. So there you go, and that's pretty much all you have to do. Follow the ATC, what he's telling you to do, which stepping stones he's telling you to take, and just keep putting that into the altitude selector. And then once you get past 10,000 feet, you want to turn off your landing lights, and yeah, you should be good from there. So then coming onto the approach there, you want to turn on ILS info display, which is right next to the flight director button. This is going to lock onto the nearest ILS information. So as you can see here, it is showing you the distance to the airport, which is probably which isn't false. It's pretty much just in a straight line, because we're doing this wide approach is going to be a little bit off, but it is showing you there that it is marked as the correct airport, and it is ILS for that runway that we are approaching. So that is all good. That makes sure the information is all correct and you are heading for the right airport. So what I normally do now is, because we're approaching the last part of our approach and our speed has dropped below the 2 bars on the speed indicator, I'm going to put in one set of flaps. You can see it here. It is the 2 little bars that is showing you the maximum speed for that flap setting. So I've dropped that one position there, and then we'll carry on with our approach. So here we're just having a look, see if we can get visual of the airport. Obviously you can't really get an external view in real life, but it's nice to take in the scenery and have a look around. So now I think we'll just show the complete approach and you can ride along with it for this landing here in Edinburgh today. So as you can see, we are a bit high on the glide slope here, which is the little purple marker on the side where the altitude indicator is. But that is just because of our approach. So now we've been given the clearance to descend to 3000. I thought it was a good idea, with the little distance that we've got left on the approach, to drop another level of flaps. Dropping the flap position will automatically tell the computer to slow down the speed, so you'll go down to the next setting of the speed. So as you can see here, it starts dropping below our next targeted speed, which is just the minimum for the next flap position really. Making sure that ILS is the right runway that we're going to be landing on and it is targeted correctly. Now we are a bit below the glide slope. Now we've turned onto that, around that corner, but you don't have to worry about that just yet. Just wait until you're on final, because it will catch up with itself. It's just literally following the ATC at the moment, continuing on what they're telling me to do. I'm going to reduce the range on the radar there so I can see everything a little bit closer up. So we're still looking for that airport. We can't see the runway yet. We haven't got it in sight. But not to worry, we still haven't turned on final yet. So here we are, turning up onto our final, where we're going to be aligning with the runway here. As you can see, we've intercepted the glide slope again. The localizer is slowly making its left across the bottom. And so, because I've captured both of them, I just armed approach mode. And there we go, it's taken over on approach mode. Now sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't really work that well. I'm not sure if the problems or if there isn't problems, but it just sometimes seems to work, sometimes it does not. So there we go, the green number at the bottom of the screen there is your true altitude. It is sonar that's bouncing off the ground and back up to the plane to tell you what your actual height is from the surface. So because we're within 10 nautical miles, I've reduced another slot of flaps, and because we're quite close now, I decided dropping the landing gear, arm the speed brake, and then we can turn on these lights, the runway turn off lights, and turn the nose wheel to taxi. So there we go, just letting the airplane guide us in, and I'm using and within 5 nautical miles I'm putting on full flaps. And I'm using the higher up seat position, so if you go into the camera settings and then you choose upper position, that's how you select that. Take a look outside, and there we go, that's where that setting's located in the camera settings. Now, because I did do a little bit of a live pause there to get a thumbnail, the autopilot did jutter around a little bit because live pause is not perfect at the moment in the flight sim, so it is kind of struggling. So at this point I thought we're not going to get lined up enough, so we are going to have to start hand flying it, and we're pretty low anyway, so we might as well take over. So I'll just disengage the autopilot here and take over as best I can. Also, another thing, we have got auto brake set to low. With it being a long runway, I decided low was probably the best option, so make sure that is set as well. And here we're going for a landing. You want to keep an eye on the puppy lights. You want 2 red and 2 white. That means you're perfectly on the glide slope. Now, don't judge me on my landing. I'm still practicing a lot with this, and because I've just changed the sensitivity, it is strange. I've kind of got big dead zones, and it just, when I come to flare, as you'll see, it just does not go very well at all. So I'm coming in there, I'm a little bit high, and once I start to try and flare, the controller just had no control whatsoever. I was in a total dead zone, so not to worry, we still got down safe and it didn't come up as a crash. So there you go, reverse is active, and then once we get below 80 knots, you want to turn them down to idle and then go back and cancel the reverse thrust, then cancel the auto brakes just by tapping the brakes and trying to slow it down with your brakes. And then if you've got the co-pilot to manage ATC, then it should take over and try and get your taxi clearance like that, which does introduce a little bit of lag as it spawns the ground vehicles if you're close by. So there you go. You might as well just turn everything off. You can turn your landing lights off as soon as you've left the runway. Strobe light can come off instead of being on auto. Flaps come up. And you're free to start the APU. So if you did like this and you want to see more, then please do like and subscribe. And if there's anything you think I should be doing a little bit better, then let us know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching.